Before we get started, I know that there's going to be a ton of people who are saying, I hate California politics, they're woke, they're liberal, they're horrible. This is a real map of what California looks like in terms of voting. This is Los Angeles, San Diego, this is the Bay Area, and then going up the coastline, Santa Cruz and stuff like that. I don't know what that is. But as you can see, the majority, because of our electoral college, the way our voting process works, these counties have more points than the rest of the counties in the state. So that's why you can have such a small portion of blue win the election, is because these are worth more points than these. But if you get away from the coast, just a couple hours away from the coast, you're going to run into red territory where everybody is God bless America, conservative values, stuff like that. So if politics are your reason for hating California, this is what it's really like. As you all know, I left California a few years ago and I moved back. Now, when I left California, I didn't have anywhere to go. I really did not. So I chose Arizona, a town that a friend of mine lived in and had been bragging about how awesome it was. Moved there, made a go of it, absolutely hated it. Each state is going to have their own type of culture, and each person is going to have their own type of experience. Now, let me tell you the experience I had in Arizona. My neighbors are awesome. Loved all of my neighbors across the street, side, behind me. My neighbors were great. I got along with them great. They were wonderful. Most of them, they originally purchased their houses as vacation. One of them is an optometrist in Beverly Hills. One of them is like an RVer salesman, and he did like RV life for like 10 years. Really cool people. The guy across the street, he used to work for the city. And he was the previous owner of my house in Arizona. So, if I was bored, I could go and talk to my neighbors if they were there. But anything outside of my neighborhood in Arizona, and again, everybody's experience. I know that if you live in Arizona, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I get that. Just like I get defensive when people talk bad about California, but anything outside of my neighborhood was very, very difficult for me to get along with people. I found no fellowship in the church. I found no friendships at work. And you're gonna hate me for saying this, but a lot of it had to do with there's no nice way to put this. There's really not. I felt like a big fish in a small pond in terms of intelligence. There's not, again, I have no nice way of saying it. I was smarter than everyone around me and I couldn't stand it. One of the things that comes with part of my personality is that I love to learn. I love to learn from books, movies, YouTube, other people. And I simply had nothing to learn. People had nothing to say of any value whatsoever other than my neighbors, most of my neighbors. And one of the things that made me originally leave California also was not only that I had nowhere to go, I did not have enough money at the time to purchase another house in California. I believe it was $100,000 saved, which took me 10 years to save. And you can't get a house for $100,000 in California anywhere. You could get a shack in a mountain somewhere, or a mobile shack fixer-upper in a mountain somewhere, but I didn't know where to look and I was in a huge hurry. So, because nobody would let me rent because of Rocky. So anyway, fast forward a little bit later, I moved back and I come to find out that all of my friends that were leaving at about the same time as me were also, all of them, coming back to California. They had run into the same, and they didn't all just move to Arizona. One moved to Iowa, one moved to Tennessee, one to Arkansas. I had one go to Utah. So all of my friends in this area were sort of spreading out across the United States, and they were running into the exact same issues that I was. And then there's the money aspect. So you think that you're going to go to this ultra cheap area and you're going to save tons of money. Let me tell you, no. No. So, okay. And it's different things. So things in California, there's some things that are more expensive than others. And I'll tell you this right now. What is more expensive in California? Hold on. For me. This house has solar, and when I was living in the Bay Area, my average electric bill was around $40 a month. So electricity and gas was not an issue for me, but for other people, it might be an issue depending, because here it's 42 cents per kilowatt hour, and in other places it's like 12 to 15 cents, maybe 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's half the price, but in other states, they tack on like a $25 service fee just to have the service. Well, they don't do that here in California because they want you to conserve electricity. And when you, like, if a company wants you to conserve electricity so that they don't have to update the infrastructure, it's a lot cheaper to get your customers to conserve than it is to update the infrastructure. But if you already have like a $50 fee or whatever, it gives you a lot less incentive to cut back on your electricity. So California never had that. And now that I have, so electricity, even though it's more expensive, was actually cheaper because I use so little, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure a lot of you who have that wonderful $100 service fee will totally understand what I'm saying with that one. Now that I have solar, I don't pay for electric or gas. So it's $0 to me. And in Arizona, in the summer months, it could get up to $175 a month, which is low considering, but you've got to have the air conditioner flowing constantly all the time because it gets 125 and it stays there for 6 months straight, even at night. And then people talk about, okay, so they think that food in California is so expensive. I found that in California, the fresh fruits and vegetables and chicken, fresh fruits, vegetables, and chicken is much, much cheaper in California than anywhere else. And the reason for that being is because we grow it all here. So there's like not only does it cost less to transport those things and to take care of those things, but also you can literally pick all of your food for free here. So like the grocery store charges so little for those fresh fruits and vegetables because they know that you can just grow them yourself or get them yourself. So there's that. The only thing I found in California that's more expensive is the dairy. I found that the dairy is more expensive. And then the only other thing that is more expensive is medical. But the quality of the insurance is better here. So I'll give you an example. In Arizona, the best I could get, was I think $217 a month, but it was like 60-40. So if I had some sort of emergency, like I had to have open heart surgery, even with the best insurance, I would still have to pay 40% of that $1 million open heart surgery. You know what I mean? Here in California, it's more expensive per month. Mine is $504 per month, but it's 100% coverage. Everything else is the same. So you're looking at internet, cell phone, car insurance, registration is pretty much the same. Your regular stuff. Even the property taxes here are depending on the value of your house. So California and Arizona are pretty equal in that. And then you talk about the income taxes, which is, not a big deal. But here in California, I have more tax write-offs than I did in Arizona. So it balances out. I was going to say something. Give me a second. Oh, so here's the thing that is really strange that is much, much more expensive in other states. And I think that it's just because of a lack of availability. So you can have lower bills to that amount to maybe $2,000 a year. So you could be in Arizona or Utah or whatever, and your bills are $2,000 a year less there than they would be in California. I'm telling you, if you need an oil change, if you need a car repair, a new tire, you're screwed. I mean, you're going to pay 5x in a different state than you would in California. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. This happened to me. I've gotten so many stories from my friends. This is not just me. This is everybody else. So I'm going to give you an example. I took my car in to get an oil change and have the check engine light turn off, because the check engine light was because of a loose gas cap. I tightened it. It was something like that. It was something super simple. I knew there was nothing wrong with the car. Just turn off the check engine light and an oil change. The guy charged me $489, so $400 plus for an oil change and to turn off the check engine light. And when I went to him and I said, an oil change should not cost more than, at the highest, $70, and the check engine light, $15 at the most. This guy says, like, we got into an argument, and I'm like, I'm not stupid, I know how this works, and you did not put that much into this car. It should be like less than $100. The guy said, if you don't pay me, I'm not giving you your car back, and I'm going to call the police for trespassing. That's what happened. That's just an example. So you're looking at a 5x when it comes to any sort of car repairs. Contracting services. So I'll give you another example. Here, I bought a mini split on Amazon for $1,500, and I had it installed for, I want to say $1,000. Maybe $1,300, but I'm going to say $1,000 because I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So $2,500. That includes electrical, permits, everything. So you're looking at a total of $2,500 for a mini split. In Arizona, $8,000. Not exaggerating. It was. So that's an example. So you can get away with having lower monthly bills, but if there is any spring in your sprocket, you are totally screwed. Let's say, I don't even want to go over any, if you need a contractor or a plumber. Plumber, you call a plumber here, he's here that day or the next day. I've had to do it for my bathroom remodel. He's here that day or the next day, right? And they charge whatever, $250. I don't know. I'm using an example. You call a plumber there, we'll be there in 4 months, and they charge you $1,600. And this isn't just Arizona. Like I said, my friends all went through this too. So it's great if you move into a move-in ready home in a gated community and everything's perfect and you have the perfect running vehicle. But yeah, if you have anything other than groceries that you want to pay, you are screwed. So let's go over a couple other different things. So outdoor activities. I'll give you some examples. So here in California, most, not all, but most of our parks have exercise equipment. So what is it? Elliptical, stationary bike. They've got the weight things, and these are in most parks, not all. And almost all of our parks here have walking trails and things along those lines. I can also take the e-bikes out on a trail, go fishing, water, stuff like that. I can only give my example in Arizona. In Arizona, if you wanted to go to a park, just a regular city park, just swing sets, skateboards, the thing where kids climb on stuff, monkey bars and stuff, it's free. If you want to do something like that in a different state, or in Arizona at least, you have to pay to do that. If I wanted to take out my e-bikes on a trail, I had to pay. There was only one trail that I could go on that was not a place where I had to pay for it. And then you've got weather conditions. So California is pretty well known for moderate temperatures. So people complain about the cost of living, the cost of utilities. So if I lived in Minnesota, I would have to either spend a week or 2 weeks doing nothing but chopping firewood from sun up to sundown in order to have enough firewood to heat my home through the winter, or I would have to pay for it. And people are looking at $1,000 bills for having their heater on. So you complain about the cost of a house here where, you know, rent is $1,500 or $2,000, whatever it is. I'm not talking about those big giant cities because that's just another story and I'm not going to go there. But you go to a normal town and it's like $1,500 for rent, but you're not paying $1,000 to keep your house warm in the winter or $500 in the summer to keep your house cool, because the temperature, the climate here is Mediterranean. It's very moderate. You don't have to use your air conditioner and your heater every day. Most houses can just do with a space heater, a small little space heater, or a window air conditioner, to be honest with you. So that's another thing. So you're not constantly uncomfortable all the time. When it comes to cars, you have other places. I guess I've only driven in the snow literally one time, and it was only for like 2 blocks. That is not a skill that I have. But from what I understand, you guys use salt on the roads for something. I don't know what the salt's for. Maybe to keep from skidding, like sliding. And it rusts out your cars. Cars in California last a lot longer than cars in other areas because we don't have those issues where salt rusts the undercarriage of the car and then like your axle falls off or something. Again, very moderate temperature. In fact, we barely even have to check our tire pressure because the tire pressure, like it constricts in the winter and it expands in the summer. We don't really have that here. I had to check it every couple of days when I was living in Arizona because of the fluctuations in the air. And I'm like, why is this tire flat? It makes no sense. But here, you don't even have to do that. It's very rare. So when people talk about how horrible California is and, oh, it's a good thing you left, welcome to America, I hated it there. And there's another thing about California that people don't know about. There is a sense of real community here. I mean, I'm talking real community. I never got that in Arizona. And I've been to a couple other states. I never got that in Ohio either, or Indiana. Yeah, Indiana. So I never got that sense of community in any of the other states that I've lived in. And here you have a sense of community. You get flyers, you go to downtown parties, the church, you go to church and they actually welcome you and they want to talk to you. And then they're like, hey, I'm going to go down to the river on Saturday going fishing. Would you like to join me? Like people actually like, would you like to come over to my house for coffee and play Battleship or whatever? Like people actually make an effort to get to know other people. So there is a real sense of community and camaraderie in California that I have not experienced anywhere else. So there's that. So it's not just a California. I guess this is not a video just defending California, but I want you guys to understand that if you think that moving to another state is going to save your money, you have to look at the whole picture. It's not just housing like most people talk about California. They're like, politics and housing. You have to take a look at the real stuff. The housing might be more expensive, but everything else is cheaper. Compared to anywhere else, unless you're like a contractor and an automotive mechanic, and a scholar and a librarian and this and that, and you're a dairy farmer and you do this. You're better off being where you're happy. So moving is not always cheaper. Moving to a cheaper state is not always cheaper. It certainly wasn't in my case. And all of my friends, I think I counted them, there were like 8 friends. They all came back because they realized moving to another state was not cheaper. The politics were not better. It was just a different experience. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. Look. Come here, Rocky. I need to zoom. Stay there. There's a turtle.
Too late for me. Pinpointing whether or not the rapture will happen in our generation is a more fundamental challenge. Some interpreters point to a prophecy made by Jesus Christ in the Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus tells his disciples that a number of things are going to happen. He gives them signs to look for with regard to his second coming, the end of the age, the resurrection of Christ. And then he gives them a parable